Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. And tonight, Somaliland's recognition by Israel prompts celebrations in the autonomous territory itself and condemnation and consternation amongst countries from around the world. We break down the implications of the recent shock move. Also, a musical adventure that's taking viewers around the world along for the ride. The South African animated film David is a biblical comedy drama that is also a testament to the influence of the continent's creative cloud. But first, Israel's recognition of Somaliland as a sovereign state has caused diplomatic ripples around the world. The East African country operates autonomously and declared independence from Somalia in 1991, but has not, until Israel's announcement last week, been formally internationally recognized as such. Somalia is very unhappy, and its president's heading to ally Turkey on Tuesday to discuss the move. Meanwhile, on Monday, China also slammed Israel's support of Somaliland, and an emergency UN Security Council meeting was called to discuss the matter. In the breakaway territory itself, though, many have been celebrating.
In this stadium in the city of Hargeisa, Somaliland's de facto capital in northern Somalia, people gathered in their thousands to celebrate the official recognition of the state of Somaliland by the State of Israel. While some celebrated, others protested as the news quickly divided the country. That same evening in the capital Mogadishu, Somalians voiced their anger.
We came to this rally in response to the offence committed by Israel against the sovereignty of our country.
We are gathered here because we oppose Israel's actions against our country, which aim to divide us. We say to Israel that you have broken international laws as well as diplomatic codes.
Somalia's president was quick to condemn the move in parliament, saying that Benjamin Netanyahu's recognition of the territory was an act of illegal aggression.
We tell the world the infringement committed by Netanyahu and his attempt to divide the Federal Republic of Somalia endangers the peace and tranquility of the world and the region.
A number of countries across the globe have since voiced their opposition as well. The European Union called for respect of Somalia's unity. Somaliland declared its independence from Somalia in 1991. The self-proclaimed republic is strategically placed on the Gulf of Aden. It has its own money, passports, and army. Until Israel's announcement, it had failed to be recognized by any UN member states.
Well, we are joined now for more of a breakdown of the implications of Israel's recognition of Somaliland as a sovereign state by Anwar Bashir, who heads up the East African Institute for Peace and Governance. He joins us now from Kenya. Anwar, thanks very much for making the time. Now, as we had touched upon there in that report, several countries have made their position clear. More than 20, mostly Middle Eastern and African countries, released a statement over the weekend rejecting Israel's recognition of Somaliland. The UN Security Council called that meeting on Monday. So looking at all of this through a global lens, what's your take on who's likely to be aligning with who over this and why?
Thank you so much first for having me. Regarding on this issue, the Horn of Africa locates a very sensitive and geographically pivotal position, and because of the Red Sea, because of the Bab el-Mandeb. This issue is not only exclusive to Somaliland, but also it will have a global effect, as China has the same case with Taiwan. So this means if Israel recognition is accepted at the United Nations Security Council, they are sitting on right now discussing this issue, it will have a global effect, and maybe Taiwan will follow suit, and this will create a global power clash, especially the United States and China.
When it comes to why this is happening in the first place, what do you think has driven this cozying up between Somaliland and Israel, who you can't say it doesn't have a lot going on its plate closer to home. Why do we see this strange bilateral pairing now of all times?
Now, apart from the bombshell news, which came out just 3 days ago, there has been a long-standing relationship between Somaliland, the self-proclaimed the independent country, and Israel, and it started during the former president of Somaliland, Mohammed Ibrahim Igal, 20 plus years ago. And at that moment, it didn't work. But since then, there has been a constant communication and a hidden, relationship between them. So now, finally, Israel unlawfully said, we recognize Somaliland, which is against the international law, against the UN and also African Union Charter, and it's against Somali's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And this will lead into more chaos and more instability. And Somaliland, if it wants to get an independent even, it has to get the first consent from the original country, Somalia, just like Sudan and South Sudan. But this move is unlawful and unacceptable as well.
And what do you think it means closer to home within the Horn of Africa? I mean, Somaliland itself is known as being pretty stable compared to some of the problems that we've seen that Somalia itself has been facing over the last couple of decades. But, throughout the Horn of Africa, we're looking at spillover from the war in Sudan. We're looking at fallout from the conflicts, the recent conflict we've seen in South Sudan and even Ethiopia. Do you think that this move to recognize Somaliland as a sovereign country is going to have any kind of impact on any of those factors within the Horn of Africa region?
Yeah, absolutely. It will have a ripple effect on the entire region. The Horn of Africa is already fragile, and there is a lot of instability going on, starting from Sudan, South Sudan, and Ethiopia, and many areas. And this will also make unstable the already fragile region, especially the Red Sea, where 2/3 of the global trade, especially the trade between Asia and Europe, goes via this route, and it will make more vulnerable and more fragile. But apart from that, even the move of Israel is not only recognizing Somaliland, but it wants to have an access to the Red Sea so that it can attack Iran and the Houthis. But on the other hand, it will give, a valid justification to terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab to use a nationalistic agenda and say that we are defending our country from, the external intervention, and it will cause more instability. And there is also a hidden agenda, which is relocating the Palestinian in Gaza to Somaliland. So all these will create more instability and more fragility to the already fragile region of the Horn of Africa.
Thank you so much, Anwar, for giving us that breakdown of some of the potential repercussions of that agreement between Somaliland and Israel. Well, British boxer Anthony Joshua is in hospital in Lagos with reportedly minor injuries after being hurt in a fatal car accident in the Nigerian city. 2 other passengers were reportedly killed in the Monday morning crash, which happened at about 11 o'clock on the Lagos-Ibadan expressway linking Ogun State and Lagos, the country's economic capital. Now, Joshua briefly went to school in Nigeria when he was 11 years old. The former world heavyweight champion's victory over YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul on December 19th was one of the world's most watched broadcasts at the time. Well, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a spokesperson for the army has been suspended after making on-air anti-Tutsi remarks over the weekend. Livingston's in Kinshasa for us and talks us through.
On Monday, news emerged that Congolese army spokesman General Sylvain Ekenge was suspended after making derogatory remarks about Tutsi people. Ekenge was speaking about the conflict in eastern Congo on TV on Saturday evening when he implied that the Tutsi community is, and I quote, treacherous. This cut to the core of some of the deep tensions in eastern Congo, where the Tutsi community is often unfairly blamed for the M23 rebel conflict. While Congolese Tutsi rebels command the Rwanda-backed M23, many members of the Tutsi community do not support the rebels. Rwanda also regularly accuses Congo of promoting hate speech, an accusation the Congolese government fiercely denies. General Ekenge's comments have therefore been deeply embarrassing because they appear to give credence to Rwanda's accusations. But inside Congo, a range of figures were outraged. To take just one example, Lucha, a civil society group, demanded that the general be punished. Rwandan officials and Belgium's foreign minister also issued condemnations. In a statement published on Monday, the Congolese army itself disavowed the remarks and said that it had suspended its spokesman.
Emmett Livingston there for us in Kinshasa. Now, the South African animated film David premiered in cinemas across the country earlier this month. The production's also been released in the States. The team behind it say that they couldn't be prouder. Their work is a reflection of the expanding clout of the South African animation industry, which has been attracting more and more foreign investment. Our team went along to take a peek.
What?
This is the latest animation of the story of David and his battle against the giant Goliath. The director worked on the screenplay for more than 10 years and traveled to Israel 4 times to ensure the authenticity of the story. Produced in South African studios, the production involved hundreds of people to bring the story to life.
We had people leave Pixar and Disney and DreamWorks to come and join the project. Some of them moved their families here to Cape Town, and others we just worked remotely with them. So we worked with 27 different countries at the height of the movie.
Proof of the growth of South African cinema, the studio raised over $3 million in pre-sales for this animation.
It was a journey of funds coming in, not enough funds, using what we had in the moment. So we just took it step by step and in faith.
Technology is changing so quickly at this moment, which means your competition barriers are coming down, which is awesome. So I think Africa is going to birth some beautiful stories that are going to touch the world.
South Africa's animation industry is the most advanced in Africa. At this animation school, an annual festival showcases young talent. Kabelu created her own series, The Adventures of a High School Student named Roy Sang. But the road to success remains long.
The only reason why I have a studio is because I couldn't find a job. So I registered a company and I started a studio 8 years ago. And now we are a team of 10.
And you need the audience to be able to show the global market that there is animation in South Africa that is created in South Africa with a global appeal.
David has been released in South African and American cinemas this December, with releases in the rest of the world scheduled from March next year.
Looking good. And Rory Sang and the Girls, that's definitely something I'm going to have to find time to watch. That, though, is all we have time for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks very much for joining us, though. Do so again if you can. Take care. Till then.
France 24, your economy explained.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.